Hi, in this session of Azure training, we'll look at how to create a network load balancer between two Azure virtual machines. So I created two virtual machines here, and both servers have IIS enabled, and just to emulate that, I have web server running on both of them. So I have web server that is IIS enabled on both of them, and both of the VMs are in a availability set. So I need to create a load balancer. So for that I go to the marketplace, and I select networking and select load balancer option. Okay, provide a name for the load balancer. You can choose any of your any name for the load balancer, and then select the type as public, because the load balancer which I'm going to create is going to be an interface for the web servers, so we require a public IP address as well, right? So select public and then choose create new for creating a new public IP address, and then select the data center for deploying it and click create. Okay, so once the load balancer is created, you see something like this, right? So we have 5 settings over here. So the first one is front-end pool, which is nothing but public IP address, and there's nothing we need to change here. And then go to backend pools and click on add and enter a name of the pool, let's say pool 2, and select the servers by adding them to the to the list, right? So repeat this for more number of VMs. So if you have 2 VMs, so I'm going to do this for both the machines, and I'm going to say okay. So this will create a pool for me. Okay, so I already added the pool, so I have 2 servers which stored up here, right? Now I'm going to create a health probe. So health probe is nothing but a diagnostic probe which is used for detecting the health of each of the machines in the load balancer, right? So we'll choose port 80 as monitoring, and 5 seconds is the interval. Every 5 seconds the load balancer will send a ping request to the node, each of the nodes, and if it doesn't receive a response for next 2 pings, it marks them as a failure. So that node is not provided to the incoming callers, right? So now the fourth option is the load balancing rules, and this is more important. So click on add, enter a name of the rule, it can be anything, and front end IP address, it doesn't change, so we are mapping the front end, and let's assume if it's a website running on port 80, so we need to enter the rule as port 80. Let's say we already have a rule for port 80, so yeah, so something like this. So port 81 is my incoming port, and port 80 is my backend port, and the pool where I need to route the request, and the health probe I need to use, and say okay. So I have one rule here which works for HTTP port 80, right? And finally the NAT rules option. So this option is used for creating NAT rules. So let's say if somebody wants to connect to one of the VMs which is behind the load balancer, so connecting to the VM requires a public IP. So in this case we can leverage the public IP of the load balancer. So all you have to do is go to add, and let's say I give a name for this, and then I choose my port number as 5003, and I want to target server 2 at the port is 3389. So I'm mapping 5003 with 3389. What it means, so I use the public IP address of the load balancer along with 5003 port number. So when I send this request, it will be redirected to server 2 at 3389 port. Similarly, create n number of rules for the machines you have, right? So if you have 10 machines, if you want to RDP to all 10 machines, you need to create all 10 NAT rules, right? Now that's all about the configuration. Now let's see how to access the resources which are behind the load balancer. Since mine is a public load balancer, I'll take the public IP address, and I just go to the web browser and try to hit this IP address. Okay, see, I got a response from my first server. Now if I, let's assume if I shut down my first server, let's say my first server is this. Okay, I'm stopping my first server. Okay, I hope it is done by now. So if I go back and refresh this, the response should be from a different server, because this machine 1 which I'm seeing here may not be active anymore, so my load balancer should get me response from a different server. So I don't have any custom page enabled on the second server, so I expect to see a IIS welcome page. Okay, as you can see, the same IP address, but I got page from a different server. So the load balancer automatically manages the traffic between the available list of servers. So if one goes down, it automatically fails over to the second server. So that's about the load balancing for you.